What's up guys, Seth here, welcome to Batslayer MMA, and I'm back with another UFC fight prediction video. UFC 218, Max Holloway versus Jose Aldo, part 2. Starting off the main card, you got the tiny tornado Tecia Torres versus the karate hottie Michelle Waterson. Tecia's on a 2-fight win streak, trying to make it 3 in a row, while Michelle Waterson's coming off a devastating loss to now champion Thug Rose Namajunas. Michelle Waterson is slightly taller, has a slightly longer reach. As far as significant strikes, Tecia Torres lands about twice as many significant strikes per minute versus Michelle Waterson, and she also has a better defense as well. As far as accuracy go, Michelle Waterson has a much better accuracy, and that's no surprise there. You know, Tecia Torres is a volume puncher. Whereas Michelle Waterson, she goes out there and she picks her shots. She doesn't go in there rushing into things. Tecia Torres definitely likes to stay busy, stay on the outside. Michelle Waterson likes to take her time, find her shots, get a takedown if need be, try to win the fight on the ground. So I think this is going to be an interesting fight. I think this is going to be a very close fight. These two girls are, number 5 and 6. They're right there. A win for either of them could put them right into title contention simply because we have this new champion now. So definitely there's a lot of excitement in the division. It's a hard pick for me. I'm going to go ahead and go with Tecia Torres. I just think that she's the busier fighter. She's going to dictate the pace of the fight. She's going to be moving in and out. And I think Michelle Waterson is going to have a hard time taking her down to the ground. So I got Tecia winning a very close decision. I'm going to say 2 rounds to 1, Tecia Torres. Fight number 2, you got the former champion, the Underground King, Eddie Alvarez versus Justin, the Highlight Gaethje. And we all saw Justin's UFC debut against Michael Johnson. It was, in my opinion, the most exciting UFC debut ever. It was also Fight of the Year 2017 in my book so far. This is a fight that I can't wait for. Look at their stats, Justin is slightly taller and he also has a slightly longer reach advantage as well. I know these stats are only from UFC fights and Justin only had 1 UFC fight, but if you just take a look at the significant strikes landed per minute, Justin has landed 10 significant strikes per minute versus 3.5 compared to Eddie Alvarez. However, he also absorbs 9 punches per minute, right? He literally takes a punch to get a punch in. Even though they both have an amateur wrestling background, Justin is a state champion. He's also a Division I wrestler, so he has a better wrestler, on paper. But really, he's known for his stand and bang, overwhelming his opponents. I don't see this fight, going to the ground. I think Justin's gonna do the same thing that he did to Michael Johnson. He's gonna press forward. He's gonna just overwhelm Eddie Alvarez. And honestly, Eddie Alvarez has not looked the same since losing to Conor McGregor. You can argue that he should have lost that fight to Dustin Poirier. I think this is going to be a good fight, good scrap, but I do ultimately see Justin Gaethje just overwhelming Eddie Alvarez and beating him in the same fashion that he beat Michael Johnson. I got Justin Gaethje winning in the 3rd round by stoppage. Fight number 3, also 2 top 5 flyweights in the world. You got Sergio, the Phenom Pettis versus Henry Cejudo. The winner of this fight, again, could be next in line for a title shot if Demetrius Johnson does not fight TJ Dillashaw. This is a very, very difficult fight to determine. Obviously, Cejudo is an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, so he should have the ground advantage. Pettis is the more dynamic striker. If you take a look at the stats, Sergio Pettis is slightly taller. He has a significant reach advantage, but if you take a look at the significant strikes, Henry Cejudo, even though he's come from a wrestling background, he actually lands more significant strikes per minute, and he's also the more accurate striker, and he also has a better overall defense than Sergio Pettis. Henry has really done a great job improving his stand-up his last few fights. And I think he can surprise a lot of people on the feet against against Sergio Pettis. Obviously, I don't think Sergio's going to want to go to the ground with Henry Cejudo. I think he'll try to keep the fight standing. But again, I think this is a very, very close fight against 2 top flyweights in the world. But I do see Henry Cejudo winning a close decision. I'm going to say 2 rounds to 1 for Henry Cejudo. So the co-main event, you got the number 1 ranked heavyweight in the world, the Alistair Overeem versus number 4 Francis Ngannou. Now, this is an exciting fight. This is a fight that, again, it's very, very difficult to call because Overeem has been a long-time contender. He's already challenged for the title. Unfortunately, he lost. and you got, you know, this up-and-comer Francis Ngannou, who everyone, you know, the fans, the media, even the UFC, Dana White is dubbing the next big thing, the next big star in the heavyweight division. I think the winner of these two could absolutely fight Stipe for when he makes his UFC return in 2018, when his contract negotiations, you know, hopefully are good. These guys are pretty similar. They're two big, scary dudes who can punch with a lot of power. You got Overeem and Ngannou, they're the same height. Ngannou has a slightly longer reach advantage. Alistair Overeem is the more accurate striker. They land about the same significant strikes per minute. Keep in mind that as far as experience goes, Alistair Overeem has close to 50 more professional MMA fights than Ngannou. I mean, Ngannou is just a baby compared to Alistair Overeem. Not to mention Alistair's, you know, K1, his kickboxing matches. So as far as experience go, Alistair's over here, Ngannou's down here. So I think that is going to play a factor in this fight. We don't really know Ngannou's ground game. You know, we do see him. He does have a submission win in the UFC, but Alistair Overeem has a great ground game. He has a wicked guillotine. You know, he's been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. So as far as, you know, if the fight ends up on the ground, I do give the advantage to Alistair Overeem. As far as striking goes, we really haven't seen somebody clip Ngannou. We don't know really how he's going to react if he gets hit. I see this fight going either one of two ways. Either Francis Ngannou can go, you know, start the fight fast and furious. He can go out there and blitz Overeem, kind of like Arlovsky did to Overeem, put him against the fence, land some big shots, and maybe knock him out early. Or he could get nervous and he can be patient. And I don't think you want to play chess against Alistair Overeem, because Alistair can absolutely knock you out like he did against Junior Dos Santos. You know, in that fight, Junior was the favorite. Junior was supposed to win that fight, but he was very patient. He was very hesitant in that fight, and Alistair Overeem clipped him with a beautiful, I think it was a left hook, and just put his lights out. So I do think Ngannou is here. If he approaches this fight the same way he's approached every other fight, he could absolutely knock Alistair out. But if he wants to play chess against Alistair Overeem, I think this is going to be a very long night for Ngannou. Again, this is a tough fight to call, but I'm going to go ahead with Francis Ngannou. I think he has a lot of, you know, power. He has a lot of momentum. He has a lot of confidence on his side. I'm going to say second round TKO. Main event: Max Holloway versus Jose Aldo. Obviously, we just saw this fight not too long ago. A lot of people were asking, why did Jose Aldo, you know, get this fight? Well, he got this fight because he accepted the call from the UFC. You know, Cub Swanson was complaining that he didn't get the fight, but keep in mind that Cub Swanson already fought Max Holloway and he lost. And he got finished by Max Holloway only 2 years ago, not that long ago, when Max was rising towards title shot. And as far as Jose Aldo, he also has a win over Cub Swanson. So to me, it's a no-brainer that if anyone should get this short notice title fight, you know, who should it be offered to first? It is Jose Aldo, right? He's the longtime champion. He's the greatest featherweight champion. So the first call should go to Jose Aldo. He answered the call. He accepted. No complaints there. As far as his last fight, Aldo's coach Andre Pederneiras did say that Aldo was injured. That's why he didn't throw any leg kicks. A lot of people were wondering why. But keep in mind, you know, when he did throw a leg kick, he was easily countered by Max Holloway. Max Holloway was able to catch him with that straight right hand, and after that, Jose Aldo wasn't really throwing leg kicks. So I don't know if it was the injury or the fact that he got countered so quickly, but in this fight, you know, I really don't see a whole lot of changes being made. Jose Aldo said he was more motivated in this fight and this and that, but I think really this is the passing of the torch. He passed the torch in his last fight, and I don't think he's going to get it back in this fight. Max Holloway is the taller fighter, but they have roughly the same reach. But as far as volume goes, man, Max Holloway is a volume puncher. If you take a look at their significant strikes, he's also pretty accurate for throwing so many shots. Really, I think right now this is Max Holloway's time. I think he is, you know, the #1 featherweight in the world right now. I think the only person at featherweight who can give him trouble is Conor McGregor. He literally cleaned out the featherweight division. You know, he's beaten Cub Swanson, Jose Aldo, Ricardo Lamas. You know, you name it, he's beaten them all. Next to Jose Aldo, he's literally the second person to clean out this featherweight division, and he just became the undisputed champion. So again, I feel like in the first maybe round, Jose's gonna come out strong. Maybe he'll throw more leg kicks, maybe he won't. I think this is Aldo's last chance to win a championship, to compete for a championship inside the UFC. But I just don't see this fight being any different than their first fight. I do see Max Holloway again just overpowering, really just outworking and just grinding out Jose Aldo with his volume, with his non-stop pressure. And I do see Max Holloway winning again in the third round by TKO or by submission, but either way, I do see a finish for Max Holloway, and I just don't think anyone at featherweight can beat Max Holloway for a very long time. Alright guys, thank you so much. That is my prediction for UFC 218 on pay-per-view Saturday, December 2nd. This is going to be a great fight card. I can't wait to watch it. So make sure you tune in. Please go ahead and let me know in the comment section who your picks are. And also, if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel.